Hey, what's up, y'all? Steve again, Harmless Rebel. I'm gonna do a just kind of a miscellaneous vinyl. What I've been spinning lately, some stuff I've recently picked up, some stuff I've pulled off the shelves. I guess we'll just jump in here. First up, I actually had an original pressing of this. I might have shown this already, I don't know, but I've been playing it quite a bit lately. I have an original German pressing of this I've had for years that even though it was mint and pretty much mint condition, it's never sounded great. It just wasn't a great pressing. So I saw this was getting repressed for Record Store Day and went ahead and grabbed it. But this is Journey to the Center of the Mind from the Amboy Dukes. Always really loved this album. Was this the second? I believe this was their second album. I'd love to find a really nice pressing of their debut, the self-titled, just the Amboy Dukes. But man, I've seen it twice ever. And both times it was like $100 and it was in shitty condition. I wish they would repress that because the mainstream has repressed this a couple times. Was it Migrations a couple of times? They did a fantastic job on this though. It sounds really good. If you run across it, definitely grab it. The whole, I don't have them in here, but it came with a set of rolling papers, which I thought was just kind of silly. I'm sure that's not something that Ted Nugent would endorse, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of stupid. Another one from Record Store Day that I didn't pick up on Record Store Day. I got a few days later, but this is I believe this was the original release, and I believe it was private press from the Dixie Dregs. But this is the Great Spectacular. I've never gotten into their 70s stuff. I know their stuff from the mid 80s. I mean, Steve Morse is just one of the greatest guitarists of all time. So hearing their stuff from the beginning, definitely more in the jazz fusion, the fusion sound, but I really dug this one. Original copies of this goes for hundreds of bucks. So, for $18-20, you could pick this up for Record Store Day. So it was cool. And I've spun it quite a few times. I dig it. Next up, this was an upgrade copy. This is probably the last of the Allman Brother albums that I listened to. I prefer the Duane Allman era. Duane Allman's one of my all-time favorite musicians. The guy was just amazing. And the stuff after he left, I never thought that Dickie Betts was as good on slide. You can tell the difference. It's just not as smooth. And I like, if it comes on, I listen to it. I don't mind it. But this is the last one that I really got into. Of course, Dwayne's not on this one, but this is Brothers and Sisters. Jessica, Ramblin' Man, just fantastic songs. Ran across a MoFi pressing in mint condition. And it's much nicer than the other pressing that I had. So I had to grab that. Next up, when I was in, and I may have talked about this band before. I don't know that I have, though. I know I have on a couple of live streams. So this is a band I do on Tuesday nights. I do the Metal Roundtable. And Carcass John, one of the guys that is on that show with me, this is his favorite band. I think he's got dozens and dozens of albums from them, including a bunch of live stuff. I mean, he's got everything that they've released as far as I know. And they've released a lot. They have like 30 albums. And that doesn't include all the crazy side stuff that they've done as well. But this is a band called Osric Tentacles. And they're a prog band, I guess. It's really hard to describe them. So everybody told me to start with this album. And it's not an album that I would recommend starting with, because when I first heard this, I had no interest in hearing anything else from them. It just didn't do anything for me. But then I heard these other two albums, and now I'm kind of getting into them. But it's Osric Tentacles, and they've got this just fantastic artwork. It's almost like, they've got various members that have come and gone through the years. They look like hippies. Some of their music sounds like hippies. I don't know how to describe it, though. It's kind of like progressive mixed with new age, mixed with like on I don't remember if it's Earthland or if it's on Pungent Effulgent. One side is dub mixed in with it, and it's fantastic. The stuff where dub is mixed with the prog and with the new age, it's a really cool sound, and I really dug it. If you want to look into experimenting with something different, it's mostly instrumentals. There are some vocals from time to time. Again, this is the album that everybody seems to talk about being the best album that they've released, which is Technicians of the Sacred. This was from like 2015. I thought this one was just okay, but these earlier ones, I believe one is from 90, and one's from 90 and one's from like 90. Oh, this is 89. So like they've been around since like 81 was their first album, and he's talked about this band a lot over the years. Scott Waters is a big fan of him. He turned him on to him. And I was in I was in a record store in Daytona Beach, Florida when I went there for a music festival. And they had like 15 of their records. So I just looked through like top 5 lists. And these were all in people's top 5 lists. So I went ahead and grabbed these 3. Like I said, these from the late 80s, early 90s, I thought were fantastic. This more recent one, it's too new agey for me. Whereas these others mix in other sounds that just make it cool. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird description. Proggish new age with world music, drums and sounds, and space rock. It's a really weird sound. Check them out online. It's Osric Tentacles. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's interesting. And it's one of those things that, like I said, I didn't like the first album at first. But with the second and third album, I really got into it. And I keep going back to those 2 albums. So this is one. I remember when this came out on CD. I bought it the day it was released. I was super excited about it. What was the original? I can't remember what it was released as, but the Hendrix family finally repressed this. It's needed a repress for a while. This is one of the first releases that the Experience Hendrix released when the Hendrix family took over his catalog. And this was basically, they got together with the other musicians, with Eddie Kramer and Mitch Mitchell, and this is what they believed the next Jimi Hendrix Experience album was going to be. This is the songs that they thought were going to be on it, and this is the order that Jimmy was talking about putting them in. But this is First Rays of the New Rising Sun. I have loved this album since the day it came out. They did a fantastic job on this. Some of the Hendrix stuff, it's especially after he died, a lot of it is just not the best pressings, and Hendrix has done a great job of getting this stuff repressed with just top quality pressing and sound. They did a fantastic job on this. This has a couple of my all-time favorite. My favorite Jimi Hendrix song of all time is "Hey Baby, New Rising Sun." It was on this album. Just fantastic. I'm glad it was finally pressed to vinyl. I've wanted it on vinyl for a good 20 years. It was just hard to find, and about 2 months ago, it got repressed. So grab that while you can. Next up, one of the biggest sophomore slump albums, maybe, of modern music. This is The Cars' Panorama. The Cars' debut is just considered one of the great punk new wave albums. Everybody seems to love it. Everybody seems to love the third album. Nobody seems to love the second album. I think it was just one of those things where the first album was so good it was hard to top it, and people were expecting something even better, and they were just kind of let down. I actually still think it's a good album. I've always liked this album. It's funny, all these represses that have gotten done. Mo-Fi pressed a bunch of their records. Who's pressing them now? Rhino Hi-Fi has done a couple of them. Everybody skips this record. And, it doesn't have the 2 or 3 hit songs that every other Cars record does have. I think it gets unfairly shit on though, and I think I still think it's a good album. I pull it out from time to time, but the Cars Panorama. This one's a really nice promo copy. I don't believe Elektra did white label promos. I think it's still the normal blue logo. It just says for promotional copies stamped on it on the, or not stamped on it, printed on the label, if I remember correctly. Next up, this is one that needed a vinyl pressing for sure. I think this one's already going for like 50, 60 bucks now. But they just did it on black vinyl, so you can get this for like 30 bucks. But this is Team Sleep. I can't remember when this came out. I want to say it was like 2010, 2012 time frame. Team Sleep is a side project, kind of a shoegazy side project from ambient side project from Chino Moreno from the Deftones. I've had the CD since it came out. I've wanted it on vinyl. They did a fantastic job on this. It sounds amazing. If you're a fan of Chino Moreno and the Deftones, you probably know about this. Kind of in the same vein as Crosses, which is another Chino Moreno side project. Just a fantastic album. And again, I'm glad this is finally on vinyl. When they announced this for Record Store Day, this was like the number 2 thing on my list that I had to have. And I've played it quite a bit. I can't remember what color. It's colored vinyl. It just got repressed, though, within the last month or so on black vinyl. So, like I said, you don't have to pay the 50 or 60 bucks that this is going for. You can just get the black vinyl version for 25, 30 bucks, whatever the price is. Next up, this is one I found about 6 months ago. Space Oddity is one of my all-time favorite songs. David Bowie is my all-time favorite artist. And I ran across this, what is this, Italian, maybe? Let me see. No, German. This German 12-inch with Alabama song Amsterdam and then Space Oddity. I just love this album cover. But picked that up for really cheap. I couldn't pass that up. I love Bowie. Next up, Sisters of Mercy. This is the first 2. Is it the first 2? I believe it's the first 2 EPs on one album. Again, Record Store Day. The first 2 Sisters of Mercy's EPs are hard to find in good condition. And if you do run across them, they're pretty pricey. And it's one of those things where I bought one of them and it looked mint and it sounded like shit. So it was really cool that they put out this with all of that on there. But again, one of the record stores. I can't remember what it's. Can't remember the name of the freaking EPs either. But the songs are Body and Soul and Body Electric. Is that what they are? Body and Soul, Body Electric, Train, After Hours, and then Walk Away, Poison Door, and On the Wire. Long Train. Yeah, I can't remember what the name of the EPs are, but they're both on here. It's on this kind of the perfect vinyl for Sisters of Mercy. Glad to have a really nice copy of those, though. All the Sisters of Mercy EPs, the singles, are super hard to find. And they're getting really pricey. Next up, I did a video a while back where I was talking about the second wave ska movement. And I had been listening to a lot of stuff. And I just got in the mood a couple days ago and went ahead and pulled out One Step Beyond from Madness. And gave this one a couple spins. I think this is just kind of one of those iconic album covers. I've always loved that album cover right there. But killer album. This is a recent upgrade that I picked up. This was a promo copy. I didn't buy it because it was a promo copy. I bought it because it's in better condition than the copy I had. But one of the best albums of the 70s. This is a 10 out of 10 right here. Slayed Alive. You just can't go wrong with this one. The copy I have is the... excuse me. My allergies are really bad today. The copy I have is the European album with this stupid-looking cartoon bear on the cover. This is just one of those amazing album covers. I don't know why they didn't just go with this. It just looks so cool. It looks so hard rock compared to the Bear. I mean, that Bear cover makes no sense. This one is a white label promo as well, but it sounds fantastic. Really happy to have a nicer copy of that in the collection. Oh, let's see. Blondie. So I've been at a Blondie kick. I showed a couple of her albums a while back. Actually, I was just listening to her debut. I thought I had it right here. I don't. I was just listening to her debut. And I pulled this one out. This is kind of the iconic Blondie album. And this is the album where I think she kind of loses it for me. The first two Blondie albums, killer punk with a little bit of new wave. You kind of hear what I mean. They predate new wave, but you kind of hear a little bit of that, a little bit of power pop in there, and that power pop punk mix is my favorite Blondie stuff. And then on this one, they really start going the new wave route. You've also got Heart of Glass on here. There's a couple great songs on here, but I think as a whole, it's just a disjointed album. I think they kind of had a really cool sound for that punk power pop of the first two records. And then with this one, new wave was starting to, electronic was getting bigger. And I just think they weren't sure which way to go. And they tried to go each of those ways. There's still a little bit of power pop here. There's a little bit of punk. There's a little bit of new wave. There's a little bit of disco here, and I just think they were kind of lost with the direction. And I know that's why a lot of people love this record. I may be in the minority thinking that this is the worst of the first three, but I hadn't listened to it in a while, so I gave it a couple more spins, and my thoughts on it haven't changed. I mean, I still like Heart of Glass. I still like the hits off of it. Those first two albums I just think are such fantastic albums, and that one just kind of falls short for me. Next up, we've got the Ian Gillan Band. I love Ian Gillan. This one is this Child in Time? Yeah, Child in Time. So Ian Gillan left Deep Purple, and then if I remember correctly, the first Ian Gillan album was the one with the big balloon, or the Zeppelin or whatever on the cover, and the dirigible, and it was more of a jazz fusion album. And with this one, he's going more towards the hard rock. And I still really like it, though. The cover of Child in Time in here is obviously... Child in Time is one of my favorite songs of all time. I think it's one of the greatest songs of the 70s. And the Deep Purple version is just a 12 out of 10. It's so good. This is still pretty good, though, Ian Gillan doing it with his new band. Not as good as the Deep Purple stuff, obviously, but I still love the Gillan stuff as well. And this is still a cool album worth checking out if you don't have that one. Next up, one of the most overrated albums of all time. Yeah, I said it. I hear people say it's the greatest American album ever made. I think it's got some great songs, and it's one of those albums that I try to love. I pull it out every couple years and give it a couple more spins. I love the harmonies on here. There's a couple songs that I think are absolutely fantastic. I don't remember how I heard somebody playing something at the record store and it made me pull this one out. But this is Pet Sounds. This is the Analog Productions version from 5 or 6 years ago. Wow, almost 10 years ago, from 2015. This is probably the best sounding version of this album that you'll ever hear. I've got that mono pressing where it's the two LPs, and the second LP is supposedly the best sounding mono version of this. This thing blows it away. But wouldn't it be nice? I love what else is on here? There's Force. God only knows. There's some fantastic songs on here. I've never, most of the albums that people call the best albums ever, I get it. I'm trying to think of some, the first time I heard Ziggy Stardust, I didn't get it right away, but the more I listened to it, the more I understood it. And knowing the history of it, I understand it. I the same way with Velvet Underground and Nico. I didn't get it when I first heard it because I wasn't around, obviously, in the 50s. But you know, once I really got into music, I started to get it. I love that album. You know, this is even Sgt. Pepper's, which I don't have the same feeling for that I have for those other two that I just mentioned. I get why that was such an important album at the time. I just don't get it with this one. I never have. I think there was better stuff coming out. I like the Beach Boys. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's songs on here that I love. I've just never been able to understand why this gets the love that it does. Next up, another Jade Warrior. Which one is this one? This is just a self-titled. Man, it's been a while since I listened to this. Jade Warrior's a prog band. I like the two albums after this, actually, a little bit better. But I finally found a really nice copy of this. The copy I had wasn't in the best condition. I say finally, I've had this copy I've had for a while. It's not I didn't just buy this, but I haven't given this one the time that I've given the two albums after this either. So that may be it. But maybe I'll spin this one again when we're done. Just a couple left. Next up, the Spawn soundtrack. Another one from Record Store Day that I was really happy when I saw. That it came, man, these last two videos have been going really long. Sorry, guys. Just had a lot of stuff to show that I want to get on the shelves. Spawn, the album. This was a cool soundtrack idea. They kind of did the Judgment Night where you take two different styles of music and put them together. With this one, they did electronic music mixed with rock and hard rock and metal. Filter and Crystal Method was cool. Marilyn Manson and Sneaker Pimps. Orbital with Kirk Hammett. Korn and the Dust Brothers, which is the Chemical Brothers. Butthole Surfers and Moby. Metallica and DJ Spooky was the biggest hit off of here. Stabbing Westward with Josh Wink. Manson and 808 State, Prodigy and Tom Morello, Silverchair, Vitro, Henry Rollins and Goldie, Slayer and Atari Teenage Riot. I like that one too. And then Soul Coughing and Ronnie Size. It was a really cool idea. I really liked this at the time. I'm glad to have it on vinyl. There's two, the B side and the D side are my favorites on here. And they did a shitty job with this. I don't know if you can see how it's a horrible scan. They didn't even care. I mean, this is Legacy, so this is Sony. There's no reason. I mean, it's just so lazy, to charge $40 or I think it was 30 something, and the cover looks that bad. It's just them saying fuck you to all of us collectors, And then last but not least, so on the PB Thaw Friday or Sunday night stream about a month and a half ago, we did our 10 favorite Dylan songs, and my favorite album from Dylan is Desire, and my favorite song from Dylan is off of this album, and it's One More Cup of Coffee. Man, his vocals on that are amazing. And I know I'm talking about Bob Dylan, who's known for not having great vocals. Him and Emmylou Harris sound fantastic on that song, though. But I ran across this quad copy, which I didn't even know that there was a quad copy. It was basically in mint condition for $35, so I grabbed it. And, man, I've probably played this a half dozen times. Like I said, it's my favorite song. A lot of people say if you took Hurricane off, because it starts with Hurricane, and Hurricane is a different sound than the rest of the album, but that was a huge hit for him. I know it with that as the beginning song, so I kind of dig it on there. But man, One More Cup of Coffee, Mozambique, Isis, Joey, Sarah, just so many fantastic songs on here. And then again, him and Emmylou Harris, that song is just so fucking cool. But the mix is a little bit different, and so I'm kind of getting into the quad stuff. I like that they're mixed. That they sound different than the albums that we've grown to love, and it's not hugely different, but it is noticeable, and it's kind of cool to hear a different mix of these songs that are favorites of mine. And after listening to that, I ended up pulling out. I have a really clean. This is like a 81. Maybe this was it's like a 79 copy. repress of the album. But I had a really good sounding early pressing of it too. So went back and forth with those. I don't really like one over the other. It's just kind of cool hearing the different mix. So that's it, guys. I hope everybody's doing good. I will see you soon, and take care, VC. Bye.